A lot of fun the last time. Last time, I think we talked about email marketing, and
hmm
today we're going to talk more about like systems. And while marketing is like my bread and butter and what I love and what I've been about well before I ever got into real estate, specifically digital marketing, I love to teach this because I mentor a lot of agents, and I feel like this is one of the things that people struggle with the most. And when you can kind of master not just your general systems, but some of your digital systems in your business, it frees up a lot more time. And I feel like it's a catalyst to improve your digital marketing. So it's kind of like part of your foundational things that you do. And it may not seem like outward marketing systems, but it really is because your systems are what people see, and that is a form of marketing. It's how your clients perceive your process and what you do. And I think that there's a lot of little tricks and hacks that people don't realize that they could do to automate a lot of that process and journey, to save them time, become more efficient, impress their clients, and ultimately become more profitable because it frees up a lot of time in your business to keep prospecting or doing other things. So I'll jump right into it. Just a little bit about me so you guys know who I am. My name's Alyssa Stalker. Before I got into real estate, I built and scaled two seven-figure e-commerce brands to the acquisition phase with my husband before I turned 30. He's older than me. And then we sold both companies while we were starting our little family. And then we got into flipping houses. This is one of the houses my husband built. I was a baby agent with Keller Williams when I first started, and there I am pregnant. Um, we became investors and rehabs and used that marketing background from our other businesses and a decade long of digital marketing experience to sell my flips. And what ended up happening is it just started to attract more clients. I built my entire business with social media and digital marketing strategies, and I was pregnant. I had another one, or I had another baby. Like I was pregnant 9 months after I had my son. So I was a busy mom, and I just didn't have time to go the traditional route. Nothing against it. It just didn't fit my lifestyle. And I thought, well, this is attracting people to our properties. I can probably do this. And it was a great thing for me while I was starting my family. And then presently, I'm a podcast host for Moms in Real Estate. I have over 2,000 agents have you either used or downloaded or purchased my marketing tools and programs, and then I've coached over 400 agents personally in the last year on digital marketing. So that's what I do now.
Amazing.
Thank you. So today I'm going to share some tools and strategies just to optimize and automate your client journey. We're going to talk all about that and what that really means. And then my goal for you in this class is to help you save time, become more organized, elevate your client experience as a whole, and ultimately close more deals and pocket more money. So to do that, we really need to start with the basics and understanding the client journey. A lot of you probably already know this, but sometimes there's new agents, and if this is recorded, I would love this to be a resource for a new agent. So we start with the prospecting phase, which is really like our lead generation activities. Maybe they get a mailer from you, or maybe they see a post, or maybe they're just seeing you online, or maybe you called, maybe you door knocked, however you procured that lead. It doesn't have to be a digital method, but it's how you're putting yourself out there, how you're marketing, how you're looking for business. And then once you've captured somebody that's a prospect and ready to potentially work with you, you go through the consultation process. That's where you're kind of courting your client, right? Showing them what it's like to work with you, what your process is, what makes you stand out, how you can serve them. And ultimately, that's when you win them over to work with you. And then they become an active client. And this is kind of like, you know, what I refer to as the honeymoon phase. You can almost compare anything to an analogy of a relationship. A lot of our relationships in real estate can be toxic, but when you have a process in place and you stick to not only your systems, but it kind of creates boundaries for you. So it really eliminates some of those negative experiences that we've all had to deal with at some point with someone. So this really helps with that too. So when they're an active client, they're kind of in this honeymoon phase. You're working really hard to find them a property, or you're working really hard to get the property listed, but it's not yet sold. You're not on your way to cashing your check just yet. So everyone's usually like in their tip-top shape, running to Timbuktu, helping clients, doing whatever it takes. And then where a lot of agents drop off is once they get to the offer stage, whether they're on the listing or the buy side, they kind of feel like the deal's in motion, and then a lot of the times I see people drop the ball. Not maybe intentionally, but just kind of like you're here, you're there. Okay, you got this one in escrow. Now you're moving back to the prospecting phase to get more. And then this is where they tend to get disorganized, either with like paperwork or process or communication. And that's where most people would agree that if they didn't rehire their original real estate agent, it happened somewhere in there with the organizational process and communication during the transaction phase. And then, of course, closing, that's when everything's wrapped up, but you're not really done yet. It's kind of how you send off your client into and how you wrap things up that really makes an impact on whether or not you're going to receive a referral or a call back next time or a good review. So that's really the breakdown of the journey. I believe that a seamless client experience is crucial in building trust, ensuring your client satisfaction, and fostering those long-term relationships. It's really how you become the real estate agent for life, and for all their friends and family, which ultimately leads you to more referrals and repeat business. Now, this is where automation comes in. Automation serves as a powerful solution to streamline a lot of those repetitive tasks. It helps you enhance your personal and business efficiency, and it ensures consistency throughout the entire client journey. So everybody's getting the same treatment. You're not missing a beat. And it also allows you to focus on those high value activities that drive your business forward. Maybe it frees up more time for you to do more events, cast a broader net in your prospecting, because you have more time and you're not scrambling to get stuff done. And then, whoop, we got to start right back at the beginning with someone else. So, excuse me. All right, so let's dig deeper into the attraction and nurturing prospects. So first is kind of like where you start, and I'm going to use digital marketing in most of my examples because that's what I do primarily. But you've got like your ads and lead capture. So you can leverage social media ads, whether you do like Facebook or Instagram for lead generation. A lot of people do organic posting. They create, funnels with mini chat or in their stories with stickers. So lots of call to actions that are drawing your leads out of just simply posting. And then another way to capture leads is having a really strong link in bio. A lot of people don't realize that people are like searching when they come across your page, they're clicking on stuff, they're looking at your links, they're looking at what you have, and they might come across, a lead magnet in your bio that might be interesting them, or a property search tool or a home value tool that captures their information. And hopefully, however you're driving that traffic, those online leads, you're sending them to some sort of a lead capture form. And that's what really ultimately begins the journey to work with you. I love to have these kind of sprinkled throughout my marketing in my bio, because then what happens once they filled out this lead capture form, whether it's a lead magnet, I got their info for a search, or I got their info for a home value, I'm going to start an automated drip campaign and immediately start nurturing that lead. Saving me a lot of time from manual outreach, but not just that. It's not that I mind reaching out to people and making a personal connection. I think that's super important, but a lot of the times, especially with online leads or running ads, people might not quite be ready yet, or they're just simply browsing and they were curious, but they're not really ready to jump in and work with you. So having a process like this also helps qualify people. And respect your time or use it wisely. So I love to set up these automated drip campaigns just to begin nurturing new leads. I invite them to begin the consultation process with me, utilizing some automated scheduling tools and forms prior to our meeting. So that examples of that would be using Calendly, which we're going to talk in about in a little bit, to schedule those calls and to automatically push out anything that I need. I know you guys are super familiar with that process because that's how I got on this call with you, and had the form to fill out and everything. So you can do all that right there. We'll talk about that and some different options that you have. And then I love to utilize these little drip campaigns. It's just a few emails to kind of nurture them, warm them up, get them ready to meet with me, to share value and to talk about the process. Because what happens is that sets up your credibility for the consultation. So rather than them using that time to interview you, you're kind of interviewing them, and then you're just here to answer whatever questions they have after everything they've already learned. So it really streamlines the consultation process. And then the last part of it, oops, sorry, I got a call. Hold on one second. I should have silenced my phone. It's early here. I usually am
Yeah,
not
thanks for getting on. I know
going.
it's super early there.
It's
Thank
the
you.
last day of summer, and I'm usually in the 5 a.m. club, to be honest.
Hmm.
But I have been
Good for
sleeping
you,
in a
but
lot. I've been sleeping in over summer, so I'm like, hello. So anyway, CRM integration, having a seamless way to add your clients from the consultation and drop them right into your CRM as an active client with all their info, is another automated process that we do. And you want to be able to do this because you want to track their progress throughout the deal. You want them in your database. It makes it super easy for post follow-up as well to keep in touch with them. So it just helps you stay organized and on top of every stage with your clients. So automating your lead management, streamlining lead management. So we'll talk a little bit about CRM tools. Most people, the broker provides you with some sort of CRM. If you don't have one, I know a lot of agents will start with just like a spreadsheet process. Google Sheets works phenomenally. You can actually automate a lot of stuff with the built-in forms and tools within Google. So Google Forms, Google Sheets, Google Docs, a lot of that stuff can be automated, but most CRMs or that will integrate with a program called Zapier. A lot of people are familiar with Zapier now, but if you're brand new to this, or maybe just kind of learning some tech tools, it is a fabulous tool. It does a great job at basically making different apps and programs talk to each other, so that you don't have to manually enter data in different websites. So we'll talk a little bit more on that as we get into this. You can segment your leads based on behavior and engagement, which also really helps when it comes for you like in the prospecting phase, like later in the follow-up phase of prospecting. If someone doesn't bite right away for a consultation, when you're able to segment or at least understand and see people's behavior and engagement, it kind of gives you a jumping off point of how you're going to follow up with those people, or it kind of categorizes people of, these people are really active, but they're not reaching out to me. This is a group of people right now that I want to get on the phone with and try to understand where they're at in their process right now. And then setting up automated follow-ups directly within the CRM. So you could put those little email drip campaigns right in your CRM, or you could use third-party tools. My favorite email program is called Flowdesk. I have a 50% off code for it. It's in my Instagram bio. If after this you guys want to check it out, it's my favorite email tool. A lot of people use it. And then Calendly is also great. You can't send like one-off emails with it like you could on a CRM or Flowdesk, but you can set up workflows and little drip campaigns within there. So we'll talk about that too. So we really want to simplify the consultation process. We want to make it super easy. Also, you're still in the stage with people where you're kind of evaluating, well, how serious are they? How much time should I be allotting to this person right now? Or is that time I could free up and go give to someone else who's ready to be active? You always have to be smart about your time as a real estate agent. So when you are putting in a process like this, you're saving yourself time, you're qualifying people. So I love Calendly. I think Calendly has a lot of benefits for any business, but especially real estate agents. You can create different types of appointments Here, I'm gonna minimize this. Oops, and I'll kind of just show you guys a little bit on how I have mine set up. So on the free account, you're a little bit more limited than if you pay for the monthly, and it's a very nominal fee. To be honest with you, I forget what I pay, but I think it's somewhere around like 12 bucks a month. But if this will load. Hello. Why did it just stop? Okay. Well, my page is not completely loading, but normally you would see all these different tiles here, where I have, different options. This is not loading at all. Normally there's text here that says, first schedule a call and then click here to fill out my buyer consultation form, which we'll talk about in a second, but that's kind of what it is supposed to sort of look like. I'm not sure why it's not loading, but it could be a internet issue. And sometimes when I'm sharing my screen, it doesn't always work perfectly. So you can set up your availability within Calendly, so you don't have to just have this wide open calendar. You could decide like set times in your day that you want to meet with people, or certain days of the week you schedule appointments. You can customize the booking options, like how far in advance someone can book with you. It's a very, very flexible tool if you don't use it. I know some people will also use like Google Calendar and different things. It doesn't really matter what you use. You just have to be able to use it to your benefit. And then what I like about Calendly is it will send like automated reminders, like text messages, emails about the upcoming meeting. That way you don't get stood up, which I know also happens a lot to agents. They take all this time to prepare and they're ready for the meeting and then the people don't show. And that's more common, on a Zoom or a call than in person. And I really love to meet with people over the phone or on Zoom first before we get together in person. Again, I've had to learn over several years of needing to protect my time. So I think that that's really important. Don't be afraid to protect your time. And then, of course, if it integrates with a CRM and then like your overall calendar, whether it's like your Apple Calendar or your Google Calendar for your schedule, Calendly does all of that seamlessly. So I was mentioning when you book with me to do a consultation, you have to fill out a form. This is what I call a client intake form. This is something I've shared for years. And I think it's really, really helpful to do before the consultation if you can. Sometimes I'll send it afterward if they didn't get it done, because even if we already talk about everything that they're looking for, or they give me this information, especially with couples, I want everyone to still fill this out and have it on file so I can go back and say, well, here's what you told me initially you were looking for. Because as you know, sometimes people get off track. They change their mind, they change things, and sometimes there could be miscommunication between involved parties. So I love to have this form as like a basis point for working together. So I love to use I use my website Squarespace to create this, but you can use a Google form, you can use Typeform, Jotform, any way you have to create a form. You can do it even in Calendly. So just have a form with specific questions that gathers that essential information up front. The reason why you want to do this is because you can take that data to really tailor your consultation. You can be prepared with that CMA already. You can already know, without seeing the property, have a ballpark of where it's going to go and make sure you're on the same page with that client before you ever step foot in their house. You can really understand, what they're looking for if they're buying, who they're working with. Like I always ask, who is your lender? If you don't have one, I'm ready to line up some recommendations. I'll ask, are you shopping with anybody? Is it a spouse, a family member? Do you have children? Do you have pets? Like really getting to know who they are, what their needs are, so that before we meet, I've already envisioned properties that could potentially work for them. So I'm really prepared and I'm impressing them with my knowledge and I'm showing up as that expert already in the meeting because I've done a little bit of groundwork before we got there. It saves everybody time, it expedites the meeting, but it just positions you as a professional. So that's really the main reason for the intake form. And then what's really cool is so like in Squarespace, if you have a website in Squarespace, it will automatically store that form for you in Google Sheets. It's a setting. So like I just have a spreadsheet with everyone who's ever filled out my intake forms. Um, Another way you could do that is use Zapier to send them right to your CRM. So it just creates a client and imports all the information they gave you. So you have zero data to manually enter. Like they fill it all out, it imports right to your CRM. And that's super easy with Zapier. I don't we don't really have enough time for me to like go through step by step, but Zapier even has AI now. So you could, when you sign up for it, and they have a free account as well that you can get away with like a limited number of zaps. But you can just go on and you can say, I want my job form to connect with my KV core. And then it'll build out the Zap for you. And you just have to connect your accounts and tell it exactly where you want it to go. Like, do you want to tag it as a buyer or, what have you? So it's a pretty guided workflow.
You do that through Squarespace or you're doing that through
I have my websites in Squarespace, so I
Okay.
just build the forms in there, but you could do a Google form, Jot form, any form tool. It doesn't have to be through a website. Zapier integrates with 5,000 plus apps, so it's likely going to work with anything that any one of us can discover to use. So it's a very robust tool and they have a ton of integrations. So I would be hard pressed to find something it doesn't work with. Unless it was like maybe someone's new up and coming CRM that's like in beta,
Right.
that kind of thing. Um, any main tool that anyone uses, it's going to work with. So now let's get into the email template part for the communication. So I'm a huge template person, not because I think you should copy paste your business, but because I think most of what we do is routine in real estate. Now, no two transactions are the same, but kind of like the meat is all the same. Most people have to get an inspection, most people get an appraisal, most people got to transfer their utilities and all those little nuances that happen throughout. So if you can think about, your SOP, your standard operating procedure as an agent, when you get in the transaction, what is what are the main steps of when you work with someone? I bet you could create an outline pretty easily of like, okay, when I'm working with a buyer, here's what it looks like step by step. When I'm working with a seller, here's what it looks like step by step. Think about those client touches. When am I reaching out to them? How often? Am I like texting a lot of this where I could just have a nice informative email with bullet points of the different things at every stage? And you can really map that out of, first you have, your post follow up from the consultation. Thanks so much for meeting with me. I'm working on setting up your search, or I'm working on creating our marketing plan for your listing. Here's what to expect next. Or the contract is coming to you next, however that is. So, like your post consultation, kind of like your little introduction to working together. Now that we've committed to work together, here's what to expect. And then you've got, here's what it looks like for the offer process. Don't go visit new builds without me. If you go to an open house, please let me know so I can notify the agent. Especially now, these things are going to become extremely important since the NAR changes because representation is crucial. So you need to make that clear. And help make sure they understand that as well. So every little step of the process, here's what it looks like when we make an offer. Here are what contingencies mean. Here are the options. So we'll talk about it. And then now, okay, now we've got our offer accepted. Here's what it looks like for the inspection. You're going to come, you don't need to be there the whole time if you don't want to be. The inspector is going to give a summary and a full report. I recommend coming to the summary to walk through, take measurements at this time, ask him any specific questions about maintaining your home or any potential concerns. You can explain what that process is. Most people do not know what goes on at a home inspection, even when they bought before. I swear that I've had people who are like, we never did a home inspection. So it's very important to break all this out. So that's what I do. And then leading up to closing, okay, all contingencies have been released. Now is a good time to start packing. Don't forget to change your address and your utilities, just all those little things that you want to remind people to do that just help position you as just so thorough every step of the way. Um, so they're great. I love personalizing those templates as well, like for client engagement, like in the beginning, like asking questions so that people respond, especially like in follow-up emails if we're not quite there yet. And then you can set up you could set up automated emails through Calendly or your CRM. When I'm in the transaction, I just want to be clear the difference. Kind of like the pre-consultation and post-consultation emails are automated, but when we start working together, that process becomes completely customized, right? Depending on what we're doing, the timeline, all those things. So there's no way to really automate that. However, I do have like these templates stored in my Google Drive, like ready to copy. And then I edit it up based on the client scenario. So I have all this language just pre-written for me to save me a ton of time. I plop it in the body of the email and then I edit it up and send it off. So the transaction emails are templated to save me time, but I am manually sending them because you have to be able to customize whatever's happening with your specific transaction. So hopefully that makes sense. Database management and entry, keeping your database organized. This is really important. A lot of people don't do this. A lot of people let their database just build and build and build, and then it's kind of a mess. And then they never use it. They never tap back into it or follow up with people because they just have this like vault of names. So best practices for entering and managing client data into your CRM, automating it. I really believe that like having them fill everything out for you is like just such a big hack. You don't have to sit there and do it or pay a VA or anything else. It just gets input through Zapier into your CRM. Once they're in there, though, you need to do a little bit of manual work and categorize and tag your clients. Sometimes you can create those tags within Zapier, but however it visually works, I don't tell people how to organize. I feel like however it's going to work for you because everybody's brain works different. Some people are very visual, they need to see stuff a certain way. So I just say find a way that makes it organizational sense to you. And do that, but categorize your clients based on what type of client they are, maybe by price point. The reason why those types of things are helpful, say you have a new listing coming. Well, before you even start marketing it to everybody else, you can dig into your big database and look at who was ever a buyer within, the 4 to 500,000 range and reach out to every one of those people with your upcoming listing. That's why it's so important to categorize like as many details as you can about people before you work with them. You never know where you may be able to like tap in and utilize that data. And then data hygiene, no one ever does this, but regular updates, regular backups of your system, just in case something happens or you move brokerages or you get locked out, whatever it is, just make sure you like are downloading a CSV every so often of a backup of your files. So automation tools, Zapier and beyond, we've talked a lot about Zapier, but I'll dig into it a little bit deeper. I kind of already said this. It connects 5,000 plus different apps. Really all it does is it makes one program talk to another program, sends information, can go back and forth. It can send information to one program and another at the same time. It's super flexible. It's really cool. If you've never played around with it, I highly encourage you after this call, just go dig around and see all the things it can do for you. Beyond even like this process, it does so much. You'd be shocked to know how much it can just automate for you. So here are just some examples for the sake of, this class, useful zaps. You can send a new lead to your CRM. from that consultation form or from that booked appointment. You can start an email sequence from that booked appointment. You can pick based on behavior where you want them to go or what email you want them to get. You can get real crazy with it if you want to get nerdy on it. But if there's also just really basic functions that it does. Tracking and analyzing client engagement, measuring success with analytics. Nobody wants to play with the data. I always call it like nerding out on this stuff. I have never been a numbers person. I've always hated math. I've hated statistics. I've not ever liked anything to do with that stuff. Analytics to me are like, hey, if my phone's ringing, it's working. Like if I'm getting business, it's working. Well, I had to quickly learn in marketing that data can tell you so much that you can't really see on the surface. And it can really optimize your results if you just take the time to look at it. So you can use your CRM analytics if it has it to track like client interactions. Like sometimes mine will pull like, here's everybody who was active today and what they did. I think that is so important and so telling because we talk a lot about automation and we'll get to this in a little bit, but there's still so much value in being personal, like in being a human in the transaction. So I love using automation and data to make my personalized follow-up better. Um, and then you can really get these key metrics like open rates on your emails. The reason why that would be important is if nobody's opening your email, then there's either a delivery problem, a subject line problem. You can identify where the pitfalls are in your marketing by looking at these analytics. You could see response times, you can see conversion rates, you could see, I teach this like in my email marketing class with drip campaigns. If you're seeing most people are converting by like the fourth or fifth email, why not just move that email up in the sequence and convert faster? Like there's so much information you can get by just looking at reporting. And then, yeah, you can look at that to, create strategies, visualize progress, all of that. So don't forget to dig into actually seeing how well your system's working and if there's anywhere that you can improve it. Automation for follow-up throughout. So maintaining communication throughout the transaction and beyond. This is really important. I love setting up those email sequences for each stage. We already talked about that. But a lot of people forget to ask for reviews, and I'm one of them. Like I have always historically been horrible asking for reviews or people's referrals. I get so wrapped up in getting to the finish line. I'm kind of like fatigued, and then I got to start all over with other people. So this was really important for my business implementing this. You can have an automated email go out once you've marked them closed on your CRM. There's tons of different ways you can set that up to ask for a review and send them all your review links, or ask for a referral, or you can send an automated email monthly for like the first 6 months. Just, I know you're still getting settled in. How's everything going? Do you need anything? Do you want to find out what my favorite pizza spot is? Whatever, you can really continue to provide value and service post closing with these automated emails, and it takes you no effort or time. And then you could schedule check-ins and anniversaries on your calendar or do it in your CRM if you create like smart plans in your CRM, that automation process. Otherwise, you could plug them into your calendar just to remind you to reach out to them. I prefer to do it with the CRM because if it's in my calendar, I won't do it. Keeping clients in the loop for future opportunities with, yeah, so this is more, besides like the post-close automated emails I just talked about. I'm just going to stand on my soapbox and tell everyone to send a weekly email to their database that they write and they put together, because it's really important to keep showing up in front of people, even if you're done working with them, because they have friends, they have family, and you want to stay top of mind so they don't forget you if in a couple of years they decide to make another move, or buy an investment property or what have you. So scaling now, we've got this system built. We want to scale, we want to grow, we want to optimize. So that automated communication is super important. This is what ultimately helps you scale, is having systems in place like this. So sending those timely, consistent messages, you're not putting in that manual effort. You have that data management, so it's going to keep you organized and just do that data entry for you. manages your appointments and consultations effortlessly. It literally allows you to handle more by doing less. Common pitfalls and how to avoid them, and then we'll wrap up with questions. But um, certain automation challenges, just like over automating. I've seen people, I've taken like very like high level learning classes on these topics. And to me, sometimes they just get so robotic that I'm like, people have to know that they're not really talking to a person. It's really important that you are utilizing these tools kind of like in the background, you're behind the scenes of your business for efficiency, but it's also important to bring in your personality and humanize the process because that's why people hired you. They wanted to work with you, not a robot or, an AI or what have you. Integration issues, checking and making sure your tools work together. Zapier is really cool because it tests every Zap and it'll tell you if there's kind of like a break in the chain somewhere and you can fix it. But make sure that you are going through your system or taking a family member or friend through your system to make sure everything works and nothing's broken. And I tell you to do this periodically because I've had stuff where actually just a few weeks ago, someone told me I have an email going out to like an old thing, like an old link that I don't even have or do anymore. And I was like, really? Whoops. Probably because I built out way too much stuff. But for you, I would still recommend going through periodically, maybe just once a month, checking your systems, making sure your forms are importing, things are going to the CRM, the emails are triggering, just everything's firing as it's supposed to. And just regularly review and update your systems. If your logo changes, your headshots change, make sure it all matches. If maybe you've learned something from, some transactions under your belt and you want to change something in your process or what you do, go back and update it there too. So everything is consistent and current. If you need help putting it all together, I do have a 15-page SOP guide. It actually outlines like all my system step by step. You can prioritize your tasks, and you can just start with parts of this and scale it up as you get going, but it's step by step. There's resources and tools for support, and then setting timelines and goals for full implementation. So we can do a customized process and set it up for you as well. So if you're interested in the guide, I could drop the link in the chat for it, but it's 30 plus templates, videos, how basically everything that I talked about today, but kind of packaged up for you. So if you want help with that, let me know. I'll put the link before we wrap in there. But does anybody have any questions? And these are my social media links if anybody wants to follow me. I have a membership dropping soon for social media and a lot of other tools for agents as well. So I'm here to help.
What's going to
That's
be in
awesome.
your, oh, I was going to say, what's going to be in your subscription? Are you doing that like through Instagram or?
Yeah, so well, I have my Stan store, which is what I'm gonna link right now. So if you guys are interested in the SOP guide, I just put that out actually this month, and um I've been getting a lot of good feedback on it. But the membership is going to be marketing and social media based. So mostly templates and ideas to save you time with putting together your marketing. I really want to talk about a lot of like current and fun trends, current news. A lot of like memberships out there are just kind of generic of here's the seller stuff, here's the buyer stuff. So I'm putting together, mostly it's a content membership, but there'll be some strategy and things like that implemented, and then discounts like on my other products or classes too by being a member. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Does anybody have any questions though on the systems? Anything that was confusing? I know sometimes we get so lost in the tech aspect, and so I try to break it down as simple as possible.
I mean, I think that there's so much to it. It's like trying to figure out how to work it all together. Uh, I use Zapier in the very beginning, I think, because I was using ManyChat like years ago when I first started, but it
Yeah.
was more
Like
for
on your
like,
website for the Facebook Messenger.
yeah, it was a Facebook Messenger thing, which I still can't figure out how to turn off. I have no
I
idea how to
have
turn
it
it off.
too.
I have removed it. I have discontinued everything, and it's still popping up when people message me. It still comes up with like, get started now. And then it goes through all this stuff, and I still can't figure out how to turn that thing off. But
Yeah.
um, I was using Zapier for that. And then I think I turned it off at some point, but apparently I need to turn it back on because it would make life so much easier if everything could just be done once and then transferred over and not have to screw around with it anymore.
Yeah, and ManyChat is a really great automation tool too that I know it's become a lot more popular since they came out with the Instagram bot and people are using it to, deliver links and things like that. But it has some crazy automations you can do with it once you're like inside. You can build out some pretty gnarly workflows with like it automatically emailing someone something and following up or taking them like on their own little journey based on behaviors. Um, I always tell people like those are really cool. I don't even use stuff like that. I think it becomes, you know, those are things that like, entire marketing teams are building out for people. You don't need all the bells and whistles as a real estate agent. You just need the basics. And I think that's what makes people really hesitant to like step into tech or they feel like they got to hire it out. And I see people spend a lot of money. And that's actually how this guide was born, by the way. I had an agent that I work with, and he was going to pay a company $250 a month basically to set up a one-time system and like keep paying them to manage it. And the system was how to, set up, get someone schedule like your scheduling tool, and then, basically a form and then a couple other little things. I'm like, I already have this. I already do this. I already teach people how to do this. Let me just put it all together and show you how to set it up yourself. So that's how the guide was born because I get asked about this stuff all the time, because people just they know they need to do it, like they know they need to put something in place, but just like you said, it's like that step by step. Well, what program do I use? How do I set it up? And I think people
Mhm.
just sometimes get intimidated by the mountain of tech or just the mountain of work and figuring out how to put it together. But I thought, wow, that's really expensive. $250 a month to create one system. I thought that was a lot. So that's really why I created this because I thought, wow, agents always ask me about this. It's something everybody needs. And you really do have flexibility. Like I don't tell you exactly, I'd recommend programs, but I think you should use whatever works for you. There's a lot of free tools out there. Like I never want newer agents or agents who haven't quite, built to a certain level yet to be deterred from having great systems and great marketing. So that's why I try to make everything DIY and affordable so that they can have those things too.
I love it. It's so smart. I know your email course is really good too. I remember you talking about that before. It was a lot of good stuff in there. Um, well, I appreciate you coming on. Does anybody have any questions about anything before we wrap things up today?
I really liked you when you said protect your time because I think that is so important. And, I know personally that setting up these automations is very time consuming. And so some may kind of put it off, but I think that it definitely is going to protect your time and make things so much more efficient once you actually do it.
Absolutely. If you spent like 1 week, whether you use like my guide to like put it together for you, or you just sit down and map out your plan. You could
Mhm.
start real simple. Just spend a week building it, like schedule out, block out some time in your calendar. You're going to be so thankful that you just sat down and did that because it'll make everything run smoothly. You're not going to be running around with your hair on fire. Oh, I forgot to send that email about that. Like it just makes everything so simple.
I love it. Good info. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Oh, she said, okay, she said she had to go. Bye. Thank you for being here. All
Well,
right.
thank you so much, Alyssa. I really appreciate you coming on. This was awesome.
It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you too. Make sure that you follow Alyssa on socials. And if you have any questions or anything, I know you can reach out to her that way, and you can check out her link in her bio if you want to have all of access to all of her stuff.
Thank you.
So you are so welcome. All right. Thank you so much, Alyssa. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.